Loon, Ubisoft is developing a turn-based tactics game set in the Rainbow Six universe. This is coming from Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. I'm gonna read this article real quick because I want to get the details on the board before we begin rambling. It was said that the new Rainbow Six Siege game is likely 1 or 2 years out, but is aiming to be released as a current generation console title for the Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC, and possibly Switch 2 for this Rainbow Six Tactics game. Two sources who have knowledge of the game said that the camera is a top-down view, somewhat similar to Diablo 4 or XCOM, and would see the player take control of Rainbow Six Siege operators. One source said, just watch some XCOM gameplay if you want to get an idea. I'd say it's an updated version of that with cinematic cutscenes and so on. Its gameplay loop was said to be similar to Rainbow Six Siege in a lot of ways, where the players would have to select different operators based on their skills to raid buildings, save hostages, etc. The total time of the game was said to be aiming for approximately 25 to 30 hours depending on the player's skill, but that could change if gameplay content, cinematics, etc. are cut, it was said. Although the current plan for Ubisoft subsidiary with Tencent is currently up in the air, some staff working on the project said that it could move to the new business as it falls under the Rainbow Six IP, while others said they currently do not know. So, that's kind of the big beats from that story. I apologize, Tom Henderson, for pretty much ripping your article verbatim and reading it there, but we'll obviously have a link to everybody's work in the description below. That way, that they get their proper respect there.
Well,
But
we all need to
what
get
do
the
you think about this
information
one?
from somewhere, to be fair. As long
Yeah,
as the thing is that as long as we credit people, because that's my biggest thing is when people don't credit, just like, come on, dude, it's one fucking link. So
yeah, and a
thankfully
lot
we
of
do that.
time, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the time, if it's something super simple, like a simple news story, I'll just kind of hit the beat, and then we won't have to read the full thing. I don't really like reading someone's full article, but there's a lot of important details in that one. So,
Yep.
yeah, I felt it was necessary to read almost that whole thing in its entirety. But I'm more curious to begin the ramble here. What the hell do you think about this, Lynn? This is very, very interesting. Like I did not, this wasn't on my bingo card. I'll say that much.
I mean, it's really, really funny because you turned around and messaged me just before we hopped on, and
Mhm.
you were like, "Are you a Rainbow Six fan?" And I was like, I mean, I think I dropped out around about in the fifth year, fourth year of content. I felt like their monetization model was, oh my god, they just couldn't stop themselves. It's what makes me laugh whenever I hear people complain about, oh, they're being greedy and like Assassin's Creed and stuff. It's like, dude, you haven't played
Right.
Siege then, man. They charge you for the operators, they charge you for the season pass, then they charge you for a super season pass, they charge you for a battle pass, they charge you for pro skin, like they got drone skins now that are sort of like any way that they can monetize that game, they have absolutely milked it to oblivion. And so when you turn around and was like, "Oh, you're a Rainbow Six fan," I was like, "Oh God, you're gonna really hit me with like a Rainbow Six like X story." I really couldn't care less. And then he was like, "Oh, tactics," and I was like, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
interested. I'm interested." Um, I'm so glad that we're seeing this like resurgence of tactic based games because I don't know if you remember, Gears got a tactics
Right.
game like 2 years ago. Really, really fun. Considering XCOM doesn't want to do anything with their IP, I welcome all these other games to take a crack. You had XCOM obviously reigning back in 2013 with the reboot in 20. I think it was 2011 was
Yep.
Enemy Unknown, and then they put out the thing with Enemy Within. Both of them were great. 2015 roundabout then was XCOM 2, and then that's it. Like you're talking 2015. They had the War of the Chosen update, which was a massive expansion, but essentially 10 years of nothing. Like no new game. They had a spin-off. I'll give them that, but it wasn't that didn't move the needle whatsoever.
Well, and I guess they kind of pivoted towards um, Marvel Midnight Suns, right?
Yeah.
For Axis
So
making that.
they did make that new game. I I loved it. I absolutely love it. I'm one of the very few people that seem to have loved it. Unfortunately, it didn't do anything for them. I think it
No.
did more damage than good. I think people had Marvel fatigue when they announced it, for one. For two, hearing that it was mixed in with a card based combat system, people just didn't want to know anything about it. And then, unfortunately, that round three KO punch was the same kind of nail in the coffin that got like Marvel's Avengers. And it's like, you're going to take these characters, and some of them look like the counterparts, and others really don't.
Right.
So when you have an IP like that where it's established lore, established characters, and people expect characters to look a specific way, and then they don't, or they look a little bit goofy, they look a little bit off, you're gonna have people gonna be very critical. So
Well, I think that's kind of where we should take this conversation because I think that's the more compelling angle is like, is there a market for this at all? We just saw Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and obviously two totally different games, but it kind of flopped in terms of commercial success. It actually sold kind of well in the grand scheme of like 2D platformers. Um, but then you see Marvel Midnight Suns. It has the Marvel name backing it. Like you said, sure, definitely some Marvel fatigue, but like you would think the Marvel name in and of itself carries a great deal of weight to move a couple million copies. But even that, it didn't seem to make enough noise for Axis. And then you look at Rainbow Six, the IP versus Marvel, and but maybe there's an argument to be made that that's the benefit where you have more of a blank slate. You can do more unique, creative things under the Rainbow Six mantra. You can kind of come up with your own thing that you don't have to be so beholden to the IP.
so my thought process upon hearing it, and obviously this is very, very fresh, so this is maybe knee jerk reaction. It's, please don't criticize this, a lot of people. Like, they put Siege out in like, well, I think the beta was 2014 and it released in 2015. We've had nothing from that IP since. They've been beholden to just doing Siege. They did the Extraction game, which was literally a spin-off event from Siege. So that is it. That's all we've had from Rainbow Six in that sense. So give this a give this like a fair shot, please, everybody, because we're kind of seeing this with Ubisoft of like, if they have any excuse to just stick to what they know, they just will do that.
That is true.
They will happily just euthanize any IP to be like, oh well, it didn't sell well, so we'll just keep doing what we're doing, you know, because they threw the bone out to a lot of people with Mirage and stuff, and it's kind of the thing of like, that's why I wasn't extremely critical of it, because it's like it did things that I want them to do. It's just you didn't do it with a character I cared about.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I want you to make the games leaner, and thankfully they did do that with Shadows. Shadows is smaller than Valhalla. It's actually manageably able to get through in a fair amount of time compared to
Yeah.
Valhalla and in even Odyssey. Um, so what I'm putting myself in the shoes of is like, I played a ton of them Rainbow Six games back in the day. Like Vegas 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I played the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighters and stuff like that. Like, I want them to go back to this IP and do different things with it. I don't want it to just be Siege.
Right.
In
Yeah.
the first person CS:GO clone kind of thing, where like I want them to, I openly welcome this tactics game, even if it's bad. It's just give them an excuse to go make it. Like, if this gets blown up, they're gonna be like, oh well, maybe we shouldn't do like Splinter Cell then. They can easily just can a project and stuff like that. It's just people need to be very careful with how quickly they want to burn things down, because you look at the reception that Veilguard got. This is EA, man. EA could have taken that hit easily. They
Yeah.
got the burn and then like, okay, well, Dragon Age is dead, and it's like, whoa, 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 no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Well,
I'm a lot more positive on it because I like tactics games, but I hope other people who aren't as hot as like such as yourself maybe like give it a chance.
I think that that's kind of another good transition point. Is like, is it necessarily fair to tell? Because I'm the worst possible target for this in the world. I don't care about Rainbow Six, and I don't dislike tactics games, but it's not like my preferred genre. But so like for the Rainbow Six fans specifically, is it fair for them to be forced into playing something that they don't really want just in the hopes that they can kind of change the course of the fate of Rainbow Six or the fate of Ubisoft? Like I don't I hear what you're saying, and I think from you and we totally get that. And we often, like, I went and bought Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and I didn't really like. That's not I don't care if we see more 2D Prince of Persia games, but I want more 3D Prince of Persia games. So like I bought it to say, hey, there's still juice in this Prince of Persia thing. Let's get this going. Um, and like if Ubisoft went out and made like a smaller scale stealth game, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy fucking Left Alive or whatever.
So, I get what you're saying with that and where you're coming from. The difference is that the Rainbow Six IP was originally a tactical shooter, so they're going back to their tactical roots in a way by doing it in a tactics game. Like they weren't on like XCOM grid based stuff, but the original Rainbow Six games were very tactics driven, and they're not that anymore. And this is the thing of there's going to be a huge amount of people that play Siege and they never played them games because they're new gamers. That's the thing. So it's not going to appeal to them. It may appeal to some of them because, everybody loves multiple genres. There's going to, maybe it will appeal to them. But for the majority of them, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, I don't like that. But there'll be people like me who are fans from decades back. And it's like, yes, more of this. Because if we get this in the door, does that mean I can get a single player Rainbow Six game that actually takes itself a little bit more seriously instead of this whatever the hell you've turned Siege into? Because Siege originally came with the inception of being basically Counter Strike, but serious. That's how they branded it with the trailers that it went forward with. That's how they were beginning the game, and then it just got out of control. They just went full sci-fi with the gadgets and stuff, and it's just like, oh, in the end I ended up resenting it, and it was such a weird thing for me because I was there from the very beginning. I can't remember what it was. It was either the alpha or the beta that I got invited to, and it was so early that my name was plastered all over. I don't know if you've ever been in one of them where it's like an NDA thing. Like your gamer tag is very, very, very like faintly in the background, just plastered like that across the screen, hundreds and hundreds of times, so that you can play the game fine.
Yeah,
But if you break NDA, they know it's you.
they know it's you,
Yep.
right? Yeah,
And
I've never had to do one of those.
yeah, I've done it quite a few times with Ubisoft actually. Maybe I'm a Ubisoft shill. I haven't done it in years. They've not invited. They stopped inviting me after I gave them. It was sorry to spin this off into like a completely different direction. I gave
That's
them
why
a
I wanted to bring it up.
very, very, very strong worded feedback on Skull and Bones, and
Mm.
I've not been invited back since. I wasn't like extremely rude. I was just very just honest and critical. It's just like, what are you? This isn't it, guys. Like, there's
Who
nothing
is this
fun about
for?
this game. There's yeah. So, but the lot before that, it was not Wildlands, Breakpoint that I also got invited to and stuff. So I've been there with Siege since like day dot almost, and I remember sitting in lobbies for 50 minutes. The player base was that small on Xbox because the crossplay hadn't been added then. You're sitting there for 50 minutes just to get one game in.
Yeah.
So for them to burn it as much as they did into the ground, as I feel like I'm all for this tactics thing. I just want them to take the series in a different direction.
Right.
Keep Siege and keep milking that, and for those people that want that, but I want other stuff from the Rainbow Six IP.
You know what I want? Beyond Good and Evil 2, Splinter Cell. What the hell are you doing? And I guess that's kind of the last thing I want to hit on here is the idea that worries me the most is this being under that new Tencent kind of umbrella where Tencent owns 25% of this new venture. And it's like, oh boy, if this thing flops, is like a whole studio being shuttered? Like, what is the you know, you don't want to even project that into the, but it's something you realistically have to think about. And I don't know. I'm hoping for the best with this, but I worry about a lot of Ubisoft just in general right now. It's very, very shaky ground, and I hope that they're able to solidify themselves a bit.
Yeah, it's good that you pointed out Beyond Good and Evil too, because it is that thing of like they're a company that because they could easily can this. This is very early. I don't think is it. How far away is it from release? Did that get leaked,
It
or is there
didn't
no?
say
Okay,
no.
so for all we know, this is literally just the original Inception. You think back to how many times have they released a trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2? It's like 3 or 4 times now.
Oh, actually, my bad. They said that the new Rainbow Six game is likely 1 or 2 years out, so not far, according to this uh, information from Tom Henderson.
Okay. So a little bit more solidified, but even then, it's the type of thing of where we've seen this time and time again with Ubisoft announcing projects far, far in advance, beloved IPs, and then they just don't come out, and it's very, very strange um, that they do that
Totally.
because it's the type of thing of like I think we could see Beyond Good and Evil 2 come out and be a massive success,
Oh yeah.
but they're just not giving it a chance. It's very, very strange. I don't understand what's happened with it. Even if you can't, because what kind of baffles me even more is that you put. I know it's contractually obligated that you pushed Skull and Bones out, but if you're willing to put that out, Beyond Good and Evil 2 surely has more goodwill gestured behind it of like people being like, all right, we'll give it a chance for you to fix it, rather more so than Skull and Bones. It just yeah, I don't know.
I'll always be under the belief. I don't care. I can be told I'm wrong. I won't believe it. I can be told I'm wrong directly by fucking Mr. Ubisoft himself, Eves, whatever the hell, Gilmon, whatever. Whoever from the Ubisoft headquarters can tell me I'm wrong. I will not believe it. I believe a big reason that Beyond Good and Evil 2 ended up getting scrapped was for Star Wars Outlaws, with them shifting over a lot of those very similar mechanics. But that doesn't mean you can't fucking like just have similar mechanics in Beyond Good and Evil 2. Do y'all reuse mechanics and assets
Was
and all that? I
literally
mean,
about to be like, I don't think that's an argument that they can really go with, considering you've made Far Cry into a gear-based game, Assassin's Creed into a gear-based game, Breakpoint is a gear-based. Like you've turned everything into the same thing because that's kind of what you do. Is the when you have a DNA of something, you kind of morph it.
yeah.
So
Well,
I don't
well,
know what is
dude,
going on with it. So
we hope the best for old Rainbow Six Tactics. If I'm being totally honest with you, my friend, do I see this blowing up and hitting 20,000 concurrent players on Steam? Probably not, but I hope that this, not that that's the end all be all metric, but it's the only real metric we have to go off of that's any sort of immediate metric. You know what I mean? We can see sales data month or maybe a few months down the road, but I don't expect this to be a million plus mover. I hope so though.
they did say Switch 2 though, and I don't
True.
know how many units Rabbids Mario and Rabbids shifted. But if they're choosing to release it on that platform, clearly it was good enough for them to be like, yeah, we'll throw it on there. Because if it was a truly train wreck, that you just wouldn't look to have to optimize and squash it down onto a Switch. You just put it everywhere else.
Yeah, good point, man. Fair. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best. It's concerning times with Ubisoft right now, but all you can do is hope and pray that we see a Splinter Cell before the days of doom. I'm not confident on that either, but I really want to see some damn Splinter Cell and Beyond Good and Evil 2. But hit us in the comments down below with your thoughts. Rainbow Six Tactics? Question mark? Dot dot dot. Unsure. That's the title. Rainbow Six Tactics? Question mark. Dot dot dot. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and stay tuned to the Gaming Ramble YouTube channel. And I'm gonna keep on hammering that one home. Don't forget, new name over here. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Subscribe, like all that good stuff. Massively helps out the channel. If you want content like this that is by two people who actually like video games, actually like talking about video games, getting into the weeds, having fun discussions that are not overly sensationalized and clickbaity, then you have found a good spot here with us. So stick around. We hope you enjoy, and we shall see you very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.